What's up again, guys? Brian here at 3TR, and we got a pretty extensive and hopefully very entertaining episode of people's questions where I answer all the awesome questions that you guys have sent me over the past week. Sorry if I'm a little bit more excited. I just can't stop thinking about next week, which I'm sure I'll talk about at the end of the video. But starting off real simple with a regular, mine going by the name of XBias123. And you want to know, what is my favorite video game console of all time? Undoubtedly, it is going to be the PlayStation 3. I'm a Sony guy. I have been a Sony guy since '97, so obviously it's got to be a Sony console. And I just think that out of all the consoles that Sony has released, PlayStation 3 by far has the best. It's currently stands having the best library of games. I think out of the 4 generations of consoles that we've gotten from them, I think the jump between PlayStation 2 to 3 have seen the largest leap in terms of quality of games. I mean, PlayStation has always been notorious for having a great library of exclusive titles, but I think it was really during the PlayStation 3 era that really not only was enhanced and taken to the next level, but the graphics were able to back that up as well. I mean, it was undoubtedly the most powerful console of that generation. I mean, you know, it eventually outsold the Xbox 360, which, you know, for the longest time it eventually had, you know, it was always ahead for a majority of that run, but I think it eventually came out on top. And I think the introduction of the wireless controller, which, you know, we had wireless controls before, but at this point, this was the first time it was a standard. And I think the introduction of the trophy system was a major game changer, because for someone like me who's a big fan of RPGs, getting those trophies is kind of like a major encouragement to want to do everything in a game. And, you know, being able to level up is just something that is really big for RPG fans like myself. So that's why I feel the PlayStation 3 is by far my favorite console of all time. The next question comes from Santicus RP, and he wants to know, how is there no Star Trek and Star Wars crossover, but there are 2 Star Trek and X-Men crossovers? Gotta be honest, I was not aware there was a Star Trek and X-Men crossover. Tell me, what's it about? Next question is Demetrius Pufer. He wants to know, who would win in a fight between Alucard and Blade? I'm gonna go with Blade. I think if someone like a Belmont can go toe-to-toe with Alucard and pretty much beat him or pretty much have a stalemate, and he's just a basic human, I think Alucard is going to have a hard time dealing with someone who pretty much has most of the strengths of vampires, but has really none of their weaknesses outside the thirst. I think that Alucard's powers are not extensive enough to get around Blade's massive and very creative arsenal of weapons. I mean, he has just so many ways he could take him out. So whether, I mean, so his super speed probably wouldn't help. His super strength really help. His ability to transform into different creatures, that really wouldn't help that much. And so I'm pretty sure Blade and his extensive arsenal of weapons would be more than enough to take out Alucard. Next question comes from Diadrive CJ, and buddy, we gotta talk. Look, I know I said I was a big history buff, but I don't even know how to say your question because I can't even pronounce these names. But basically, your question revolves around the Japan's 3 great unifiers and who would I want to serve under. I don't even know who these people are. I'm sure a majority of the people that watch these videos don't know who these people are. So I don't even know how to answer this question. So if you're gonna throw these history questions, throw something a little bit more relevant. Give me within this century. You know, like give me 100 years. I think I might be able to answer about world leaders or events in that time period. But once you go a little bit past that, it's a little bit outside my jurisdiction. So yeah. Next question comes from Corey Culver. I believe you're the first newbie of the episode, so welcome. And you want to know, oh, sorry, it's not really a question. You're talking to someone else, so sorry. I'm moving to the next person, which is HugoBud881. And he wants to know, if I could pick a Sith or Jedi from Legends, who would be a good challenge for Virgil, or defeat him, who would it be? I hate reusing these two characters, but these two characters could easily definitively take down Virgil, probably even in a landslide. But probably in the Jedi's perspective, obviously Grandmaster Luke Skywalker, not the bullshit Luke Skywalker we're about to get in The Last Jedi, but Grandmaster Luke undoubtedly would be able to take down Virgil. I mean, he is on record and even being considered by most fans to be the most powerful Jedi that the franchise has ever seen. So that alone would mean he'd be able to take him down. And to go into probably one of my all-time favorite Sith Lords of all time, Darth Krayt. Darth Krayt unquestionably would be able to take down Virgil. I mean, not only are these two extremely capable and very extensively experienced swordsmen, but their powers and use of the Force is so extensively strong, it would be more than anything Virgil would have ever encountered before, even if he was in his prime. Even his devil triggers probably wouldn't help that much. Next question comes from Goku-san, and you want to know, do I think that Devil May Cry 2 Dante or... Oh jeez. You're comparing Dante to Super Saiyan God Goku? Are you insane? You want to put some half-breed against a guy who can not only blow up planets, but blow up entire galaxies? What kind of comparison is that? Of course he can't beat Goku. That's not even a... That's so unfair, that's criminal. Shame on you, Goku-san. You should know better. Next question comes from Matt Cruz. He wants to know, what is my favorite Tom Hardy movie role? Actually, my favorite role that I've seen him in was actually two roles, and it was actually in the movie Legends. And when he plays the Kray twins. I mean, just Ronnie and Reggie. His performance as both Ronnie and Reggie. I don't know why he wasn't nominated for an Oscar. I mean, it's hard enough for an actor to act with himself, but he does such an incredible job with those performances that. You know, that was the movie that made me a Tom Hardy fan. I mean, I was always familiar with films he had done before that, but like, that is a movie where he is the lead man, and this guy can really, really act. I mean, my God, if you have not seen the movie Legend, please check it out. It is by far his best performance, or performances, I should say. Next question comes from the Black Struggle. You want to know, do I think that Dante's Inferno would make a better TV show or movie? Actually, to be honest, they already did an animated movie for Dante's Inferno, and I thought it was actually pretty good. I don't think you need to make it a TV show, because if you were gonna make it a TV show, I don't really think there's enough material to extend it. Because if you were gonna do that, it would probably be like a Netflix series, and I guess each episode would pretty much revolve him exploring each different circles of hell. I think that's the most you could do. You might be able to do a Netflix series, but there is an animated movie out there, and I would suggest for those of you who haven't seen it to check it out online. It is pretty good and stays pretty faithful to the game it's based off of, and they do play off each other really well. Next question comes from Jalen Bradford. You wanted to know, have you ever thought of doing a crossover versus between Mortal Kombat characters and Street Fighter characters? No. I'd say Death Battle has been doing that pretty well. I don't think I'm as good as those guys. Those guys, I mean, that's an entire team of people, and they go into sometimes they don't go into as much detail as I would like, but when it comes to those type of matchups, they definitely will go into much more detail than I ever would. So no, I'll leave those type of matchups to the pros. Next question comes from J-Bat, and you want to know, can I do an updated review for Terminator 2 Judgment Day now that it has a 3D release? Actually, after this video gets uploaded, I will be uploading my updated review for Terminator 2 Judgment Day in 3D, because I did happen to see it, and you know, I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on it. Next question comes from Black Rabbit of Indel. I hope I said that right. I know you're a newbie. And you want to know, was 2014 for gaming that bad as everyone says? No. I mean, I don't really remember what was going on in 2014. I'm not sure if that's the year that, you know, the PlayStation Network was hacked, but I didn't think it was that bad. But as far as the year itself that I can remember, I personally don't think it was as bad as I've heard or from what you're describing. So no, I wouldn't say it was that bad. I can't recall a year of gaming that I've gone through over the past 10 years I would say was bad. I mean, there are definitely things that each console has done that I would say suck, but as an overall year, no, I don't think we've had a year that was just overall bad. Next question comes from Zyborg136. He wants to know, what are my thoughts on BioWare announcing that they are no longer doing updates for Mass Effect Andromeda? Well, that just tells you that probably there's really not much they can do to improve the quality of the game itself. I personally enjoyed it to a point. I certainly don't think it's nearly as good as the original Mass Effect trilogy, but I did have moments of enjoyment playing it, and there are definitely elements about it that I do like above any other. There is a couple of aspects about the game that I do think are better in Andromeda than they are in the original trilogy. But I think that there's only so many patches and so many things you can do to try to fix a game that is just heavily flawed. And it's clear that perhaps the wrong group of people were working on it. Perhaps they didn't have enough time. Maybe this was rushed. But at this point, it's time to just salvage what you can and just work on the next project. Next question comes from Gene Last, and you had multiple questions, but I'm only going to answer one because I only answer one question per person. And you want to know, who would win in a fight between Zack versus Squall, Cloud... Wait a second, what? You got like... What the hell? Okay, you have like six, seven, like you have like 4 different matchups here. So I'm just gonna stick with the first one, Zack versus Squall. Zack would win. They're both, the difference between the two of them is physical performance, and I'm sorry, Squall physically cannot compete with a member of Soldier. I'm sorry. As swordsmen, they're about equals. They're both power users, but when you're using a fighting form that is based off of strength, whoever has the better physical performance is inevitably going to win. Now, when it comes to magic, they're about even as much because neither one really uses magic that often. They're capable of using it, but that's not. They will only use it if they feel a need to fall back on that. When it comes to their weapons, you can't really compare the gun blade to the Buster Sword. The Buster Sword would cut through a gun blade easily. So yeah, Zack would undoubtedly beat someone like Squall. I mean, it would be an interesting fight, but yeah, he would definitely win. Next question comes from the Immortal Super Being. You want to know, would I ever put Darth Krayt in one of my versus matchups? If so, none. Okay. Question is, would I ever put him in one of my matchups? I would like to, but there are a number of Star Wars series YouTubers that I think would be better off analyzing him. I just don't know who I would put him up against in any other franchise. So, like, if you're going to use a character like Darth Krayt, you do generally want to keep him within Star Wars and don't want to do too many crossovers. Next question comes from Kenny Kasumo. I hope I said your name right. You're also another newbie. And he wants to know, if I had to pick between environment or the killer, which is more important to you when it comes to fear? Environment or the killer? Perhaps I think environment, because with environment, it's something that surrounds me. When it comes to a killer, it's usually one-on-one. So I feel like I have a better chance at dealing with someone that's after me, because then I could probably use my own thinking to try to counter their own. So it's a simple matter of trying to outsmart the person. But when you're in an environment, how can I use my own form of thinking to go against something that surrounds me? With the killer, it depends on the location itself. Like if it's in a building, you know, there's a sense of claustrophobia, but that plays into environment. So I think that out of the two, environment is definitely more accustomed to and more flexible when it comes to enhancing one's fear than just an individual killer. Next question comes from John Allen. You want to know, if I could write a script for an episode or a TV show series, which would I choose? I don't know, probably write an episode for The Flash. Honestly, I would probably want to write an episode of Gotham, because I think that that show has completely gone to shit. And literally, if I could write one episode, I would just rewrite the very first episode, and I would just have Bruce Wayne get killed. I mean, it's clear we're not getting Batman. I think what they're doing towards it is ridiculous. I mean, it's ridiculous. The kid is not even Batman, and these villains are already here. What the fuck are these writers thinking? Oh my, I mean, Jesus. I mean, the show at this point is completely unwatchable. I could not even get past the half of the first season before I knew it was total shit. So yeah, I will probably just rewrite the first episode of Gotham Season 1 and make sure that Bruce Wayne was killed, which in essence could lead into the Flashpoint storyline. But if anything, I would just make sure all 3 of the Waynes were killed. That way, you guarantees that you're not going to get Batman, and it's just going to be Gordon going up against these supervillains, and, you know, take it or leave it. Next question comes from Abel, and you want to know, what are my thoughts on the solar eclipse that happened on Monday? I'm gonna be honest, I didn't get it here. We had a thunderstorm while it happened, so I didn't really notice it. But personally, I think it was a bit ridiculous when I was seeing all these news reports about, you know, hospitals are getting packed. I mean, the solar eclipse only lasted for like a minute or two. I mean, come on, like, and I think it's ridiculous. I mean, people say, oh, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You know, the next time it happens, you know, you're gonna be an old man. Personally, I didn't care. I didn't think much about the eclipse, so personally, I don't really care. Personally, I would be more excited for the planets aligning than the moon simply being in a perfect position for the eclipse to come over the country, because eclipses happen all the time. They just, maybe this is like the first time it went across the United States, but heck, it does happen in other places around the world many times, so I don't know why ours is so special. Let's see, and I think that is the last question of the episode, which it is. So I would like to thank all of you guys for sending in your questions. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type it in the comments down below. But before you do, make sure you modify your questions, because next week, next Friday, I will not be here in Vegas, ostensibly, which I'm technically not really in Vegas. I'm in another district close to Vegas. But next week, I will be in Texas visiting my brother for his birthday. So me and him will be answering questions together like we do every year. So make sure you guys make your questions for both of us to answer, so, you know, we'll be able to double the fun. And hopefully you guys will have a good time with the rest of your week, and hope you guys enjoyed this episode. So with that out of the way, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.